as Halloweeny as we get.
Yeah, that's about it.
Emphasis on weenie.
Now tomorrow, I did want to pull a little bit of Halloween trivia for you, and maybe do a little bit of that tomorrow. But
I find it amazing that you are the queen of Halloween decorations, at least interior decorations. And this is all we have for our table. And not only that, but that's not even yours.
Okay. I feel like I've explained the Halloween decoration situation.
I know you put it away. I get that.
But allow me to say it again. I am a huge Halloween fanatic. Everybody knows that. I live for it. For my birthday, people just buy me Halloween decorations, and I'm totally okay with that. By the way, I want to thank Home Right Windows and Doors, the Right Choice winner in the 2024 Best of the Tri-State.
Your windows won't be spooky with Home Right Windows and Doors.
But the problem is, I am going away for the next 3 weekends. Well, one weekend, my family's coming up with 2 small children. I'm going to North Carolina for a weekend, and I'm going to Winchester for a weekend. So I would not have a day free to take down my Halloween decorations until almost after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So I took everything down on Sunday because I had the whole day free, and it takes like 6-7 hours to do this, to swap out the decorations. But I took everything in my tubs up to the attic. And have you seen how narrow my attic stairs are?
Yeah, you forget I carried an air conditioner.
That's right.
Up and down.
I'm going to need you to do that again as well.
So now let's take a look at what day in history this is. Here we are on October 30th.
Well,
Forget I said anything about your decorations.
You won't have to do anything today because it's going to be sunny and high 77. And who
knows?
knows?
Need it.
That's what I was just going to say. I might need it tomorrow. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 51. And then tomorrow for Halloween, sunny, high 81. So you have a couple more weeks to rest up before I am going to need you to take. What happens? Here's a question. What happens if you don't take out your window unit, your air conditioner, and you just leave it in all year?
There's a couple different schools of thought here. The primary one is that it's so cold that the cold air can just come in because there's little gaps or could be gaps. There's also the idea that snow could sit on the unit and cause strain on the windowsill. Home Right Windows and Doors. But I don't really know that it's detrimental because you figure our air compressors, if you have central air, sit out all year.
And there's no protector for that. I mean, maybe some people have some.
No, there's a protector. There's AC Man. I'm AC Man. I'm here to protect your air compressors.
Well, what if is there such a thing that I could buy off of Amazon that is a window unit cover?
Yes.
Is that really a thing?
It's a thing.
So I could put that.
Well, you have to be able to access it.
I know how to get on the roof. I can get on the roof. We've done it before.
that we have done that before. You'll be doing this though.
Here's the thing about Tiny and I. If you listen to our sister station, you know. But Tiny and I have been best friends forever, and there really is nothing that I do that he doesn't help me with, and vice versa. But you never need help with anything. So last July 4th, my cat got stuck behind a cabinet, and I couldn't get her out. She was stuck in there in the kitchen. So Tiny and I had to get onto my roof to go back and get her. And so we have been on the roof before. So maybe
we have been hanging out windows.
We have been hanging out windows. And this window, the sister window that I would need to get out to put the cover on the air conditioner. So this sounds like was that fun?
No.
I don't think that was fun.
No, it wasn't.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely terrifying. But anyway, so a few nice days in store. It's Halloween Eve. Welcome to Let's Talk Tri-State. We're going to be connecting you to the Tri-State community until 2 o'clock this afternoon. And today we celebrate on October 30th, along with Halloween Eve. Today is National Text Your Ex Day. This will be a day that I will not participate.
Well, you just have to spend the whole day. So all them exes. You have more exes than a tic-tac-toe competition.
Well, what qualifies as an ex?
How
many dates do you have to go on before it qualifies as that?
I suppose that's up to interpretation.
Okay, well, I only have a few then. If we're counting like a few months, there's only a few. But
I don't know. You could text your one ex, Chris. You keep in contact.
We
with
are
him.
friends.
Yeah.
I do have a couple people that I've dated that I have remained friends with.
I don't think I have. No, not that I would, but I don't think I have any of Max's numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you're married. It's different, I think, when you're married.
Is it that different? Why would you?
I think when you're married, it's like giving up the black book, so to speak. You know, it's you don't need it anymore. What's the point in keeping it on the back burner? When you're single, it's different. You know, you don't want to lose everybody's number, just in case.
Well, what's
you
funny
reach
is
out one day.
The reason that I deleted the numbers is because they were, I don't want to say duplicate names, but let's just like one of my ex's names was Katie. Well, if I'm in my car and I use the push button, and I say, call Katie.
As in me.
Right. It doesn't know it's Katy. Right. It's just, then it gives me this list of which Katie would you like to call.
Yeah, that is the worst.
I'm just like, well, let's just alleviate that, and out it goes.
And the thing about that really stinks is that even if you try to explain, hey, I'm sorry, did not mean to call you. I meant to call Katie from the radio station.
Right.
They're going to think, this is that person trying to get back into my life, and that's not at all what the case is.
Yeah, I'm sure it was an accident.
It's also, this is one that you and I are a little bit more on board with. It's National Checklist Day.
Oh, my.
And so I don't know if you're anything like me. I need a checklist for my checklist.
Yes, I agree, yes.
I have so many checklists.
One of my checklists before was buy more checklists.
Yes, I have a checklist on my phone, on my calendar, all over the place. I
can't do the phone. I wish I could.
Oh, yeah, I'm big on the phone.
I tried it. I have an app that's just a checklist app. I think it's called todo.ist or something. And
the thing is, my phone is one of the very few things that I always have on me. And it's not necessarily...
The way it's cracked, it looks like it's one of the very few things that's always on the floor.
Do you know why it's cracked? Fun story. We were at Trunk or Treat, Maryland State Police Department, Trunk or Treat on last Tuesday. And one of our sales girls, she closed the trunk of the vehicle, and my phone was right there at the bottom.
Wasn't it broken before?
It was not. Oh. And she even said, oh my gosh, did I break it? And I didn't think that she did, but upon closer inspection, I thought, oh, yep, there's a little bit of a crack in there, but it's so old, I don't care at all. Right. But anyway, how do you make a checklist if you don't know? You can think about your daily routine and consider the order in which you do things and how long it takes you to do them, and then check them off as you accomplish it. I know it sounds easy, but I think it's amazing how many tasks you do every day and how easy it is to let one slip if you don't write it down.
Not to mention, there's something about, just like there's no substitute for opening a book and reading a physical book, I don't think there's anything quite so satisfying as physically checking off things that you've done during the day.
Absolutely. Who invented the checklist? Because I had to find a bunch of information about checklists.
I didn't know there was an inventor, but... In
the aftermath of the Boeing Model 299 B-17 aircraft crash in 1935, Boeing administrators and pilots came up with a way for pilots to make sure that all cockpit safety procedures were followed according to a checklist rather than relying on memory. So that was when I was researching, because I always love to research these national days, that is one of the first pieces of evidence of a checklist.
Yeah, well done, Boeing.
And why is it important? Well, it encourages you to keep up with all of your tasks, daily, weekly, monthly, and also it feels good. When you just check them off, it feels good. But I have a checklist on my phone. Like I said, it's not a checklist. It's just a really, really long note section. I mean, it's got passwords up here, this down here, radio ideas down here. Like, it's just a full list, and nobody would understand any of it except for me. Here's my grocery list. Here's my Christmas list. It's just multiple lists in one. Let's talk about this day, October 30th, back 130 years ago. In 1894, Daniel N. Cooper patented the...
Cooper. Tire?
No.
I don't know.
The clock. Okay. The time clock. And what would we do without it?
Use a sundial?
It would really tick me off if we didn't have it. Our days would be confusing.
We're going to be a minute.
It was 86 years ago. I had not heard of this, so forgive me if this is common knowledge, but in 1938, Orson Welles made his infamous War of the World radio broadcast. Have you heard about, you know about this? Millions of listeners thought New Jersey was actually being invaded by aliens, and one woman found a bottle of poison, and she was found with it, saying that she would rather die that way than aliens.
It was a big deal.
Yeah, that's crazy.
As a matter of fact, after that, I believe regulations were put into place that you had to somehow identify if this is for entertainment or something to that effect. I can't remember exactly what, but because of that, it was a big deal.
And that was what it was for, an entertainment segment. There's aliens invading.
He wasn't legitimately trying to make people think that this was happening. He was a story writer, so he was just an orator, so to speak, and he was delivering this for entertainment. Now, I'm not suggesting that he didn't think that he was presenting it in a particular way, that there may be some people who might call the radio station, so to speak, and wonder what in the world's going on, to put that into perspective of today. But it set off it was big.
Wow.
Yep.
That is, I guess also working in radio, I can just imagine how I would feel.
Think about it too, from the time that was. What year was that?
38.
Okay. So it's not like it was today. If somebody gets on the radio now and said that there's 10 tornadoes in Hagerstown right now.
I mean, you're going to Google it, eh?
Well, you can go walk outside and see if it's a bright, sunny day. The odds are that that's not happening. There's ways for you to do that. But to your point, you can get on Facebook, you can get on Google, whatever you need to do. You can live stream something, right? Whereas back in that day, the information was not as readily available as it is now. Matter of fact, if someone said, perhaps the tornado thing was because you could go outside in 1938, but you get my point, is that you couldn't debunk something immediately.
Exactly, sure.
If you could at all, it would take you forever to do it.
Yeah,
so to these people in that time, this was news. And radio, just as it is now, was a very trusted, reliable source of information. So these people were taking this guy at his word.
Yeah, I don't know how I've never heard of that, especially being in the industry. I thought that was wild. It was 79 years ago that the U.S. government announced the end of shoe rationing. For the previous 2.5 years, leather had been in such high demand for the war that the government limited the amount of new shoes that you were allowed to buy.
Isn't it amazing to think that all shoes back then basically were leather?
Yeah, I know. I wonder what they cost. I wonder what that would equate to now. It was 43 years ago in 81, Halloween 2 was released, and we learned Michael Myers was stalking Jamie Lee Curtis because she was his sister. Didn't we learn that in the first one?
I don't think so.
We didn't know that in the first one?
No, because originally wasn't she just the babysitter? And then the knowledge came out later that they were siblings?
I don't remember. And I also thought Halloween 2 was that really bad one. That was the third
number 3,
one.
Season of the Witch.
Yeah,
that
was stopped
awful.
The storyline. And how they were able to use that name and in that franchise, I'll never know.
Because from what I understand, Halloween was never supposed to be centered around Michael Myers. It was supposed to be a series of movies that were just scary stories, much
around
like
Halloween.
The Twilight Zone or whatever. And so they really worked themselves into a corner when Halloween 2 has Michael Myers still, because it was so successful. Why wouldn't you? What I've never understood is, after number 1, the success, I get it. You're going to make number 2. Even if you had this plan that you were going to go different, number 2 is successful. Why would you ever think, well, you know what? Let's completely just make a left turn here.
And that movie is so bad.
It's horrible.
It would be different if it were a great movie.
I love how people try to say now, well, yeah, but looking back, it's a really, no, it's not.
No.
It is horrendous.
But it's so funny after that, then there was 4 and 5, and then we started Halloween H2O and...
what was the other one with...
then we had the revival...
Resurrection, there was one where they were all in a house, and it was, I feel like it was being filmed. I know it was a film movie.
I don't remember.
It had like Ice-T or somebody in it.
I've seen all. Are you sure you're not thinking of H2O?
No, I know H2O, but there was another one where they're all in a house. I think it was Resurrection, but I know H2O. I liked that.
Josh Hartnett. Had Josh Hartnett.
And Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously.
And then we had, what's his name, who did the remake?
Rob Zombie.
I did not like that.
I loved him,
I did not like that at all.
They were really good. I didn't necessarily care for his wife constantly riding around on a white horse in some type of vision. That was stupid, but
I just feel like that's such a classic. Don't touch it. Just don't touch it. It's just great the way it was. But
then they redid them all again.
And I've seen them all.
So have I.
Listen, if Halloween and Michael Myers is attached to it, I'm watching it.
I hate how people say, and they do this with horror movies too, like Jason Voorhees, who's my favorite of all of them. But
really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jason's my favorite. Followed very closely by Michael Myers.
Okay.
But they will say, these are people who love these movies, mind you. They just don't make sense. How could he come back again? They put him in a meat grinder, or they blew him up a million pieces or whatever. Okay, well, you do realize that if you don't suspend that disbelief, you're never going to get another movie about that you love.
And you just have to accept it and just move on.
Yeah.
You just can't kill him.
You can't.
That's just the way it is.
Jason's not meant to die.
No, Jason is. Michael Myers is not.
I would love for them to do a collaboration movie.
I thought they did. Oh, no, that was
That's
Freddy.
Freddy.
Yeah, it was Freddy versus Jason.
I would much rather been Jason and Michael.
We're getting so off on a tangent
That's okay,
here.
sorry. It's Halloween.
We are going to check in with the good word of the day. But first, I definitely want to thank 2A Arms LLC, 2A and PA, Firearms and Freedom. And now let's take a look at the good word of the day.
Hi, everybody. Pastor Tim Beitzel here from First Assembly of God in Shippensburg, PA. I want to share two verses of Scripture this morning for our devotional that are two of my favorite Scriptures because they speak of the power that is available to believers. And this comes from Paul's letter to the Romans, Romans chapter 12, the first two verses. Listen. And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all that he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship him. Don't copy the behavior and customs of this world, but let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Then you will learn to know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. You know, so many people struggle with the idea of a holy God, that there's just no way that they could ever be righteous before him. And you know what? They're right. None of us in our own righteousness can stand before a holy God. But listen, Jesus changed all that. And because Jesus died for you and rose again and defeated death, you can live holy lives. And I love in verse 2 where Paul writes, let God transform you into a new person by changing the way you think. Boy, oh boy, we get in a lot of deep water sometimes because we refuse to change the way we think about something. It is entirely possible that the way that we think about something may be wrong. God wants to mature you, and he wants to sanctify you. That means look more like Jesus and less like the world by changing the way you think. Will you let him change the way you think today? It's for your good. God bless you. See you soon.
You know, we had Sam on here recently from Downtown Chambersburg Incorporated, and he talked to us a little bit about the new amphitheater.
Yeah.
And now the ribbon has been cut for the start of the Chambersburg $880,000 Spring Street Amphitheater project next to Chambers Fort Park. It's going to be a 400-seat project, marks a major step towards revitalizing downtown Chambersburg with a venue for community gatherings, performances, and other outdoor events. 400 people. I'm thinking weddings, different.
I'm thinking we do a concert.
Concerts would work.
Yeah.
All different family reunions. I just think it's going to be a really wonderful addition to Chambersburg.
Katie karaoke nights.
Oh, karaoke, if you will.
No, not you. I mean, like Katy Perry. Maybe we get her there. It's a nice big venue.
Yeah, I think we would need more than 400 seats if Katy Perry was going to come and sing karaoke with us.
Maybe it will be you. Let's have you do it. Yeah.
I might be able to fill 50.
The Hagerstown City Council has approved a move. They did so yesterday to increase signing bonuses for HPD employees, one of the many retention and recruitment efforts the department's taking to increase numbers. Hagerstown Police Chief Joey Kiefer said the department is short-staffed and current officers have to be, this is sad, I don't like this, have to be reactive to the number of calls they need to respond to. He hopes the department's efforts, which range from offering officers their own take-home cruiser to salary increases, will increase the department staffing and lessen the amount of calls officers have to take on a daily basis. New officers with less than a year of experience now start at right around $62,000.
Okay, that's a pretty good starting salary.
You know, I think, as with anything, I'm sure, but I think could and should be higher.
Absolutely.
These are men and women who are really willing to step into the line of duty, and it can be very dangerous. And it all goes back to, how do you put a numerical value on a life? You can't. But at the same time, I think the fact that this is the starting salary, I don't know. I think it should be more.
Okay. I definitely think it should be more, but the number...
It's a step in the right direction. I get it.
I think the same thing about educators.
Yeah.
I think that salary should be higher as well. But that's a whole new conversation for another day on...
Well, look, when you're in education, yes, it does come with inherent risks. I mean, the parents had to entrust their child with you to educate them, which I don't know how you did it. But
I will have you know that twice I was nominated by my peers for Teacher of the Year. So I'll just have you know that right off the bat.
That's because Katie's in the meeting and she's going...
I did not nominate myself.
You know, I would really love to win Teacher of the Year.
I did not.
I just don't get nominated. Julie, can you nominate me? you nominate me, I'll nominate you.
We're going to check in with news and sports, and it's all powered... No, not news and sports. I did this yesterday, too. We're going to check in with sports with Andy. We just gave you the news. Sorry about that. All powered by DRB Group, the right partner for your real estate development.
It's time for your local sports roundup. First for Washington County, last night in boys soccer. Congratulations going out to North Hagerstown. They beat Tuscarora 2-0 in the Maryland 3A Region 1 final game. Brunswick also beat Boonesboro in the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final 3-0. Congratulations to both boys soccer teams. Coming up tonight for flag football, South Hagerstown travels to North Hagerstown. That kickoff is at 5 p.m. And last night, for the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final for girls soccer, Brunswick also beat Smithsburg 4-1. Last night in girls volleyball, South Hagerstown beat Catoctin 3-0, winning by scores of 25-20, 25-18, and 25-18. Tonight, the Maryland 3A West Region 1 quarterfinals between South Hagerstown and Linganore will kick off at 6 p.m., and the Maryland 1A West Region 1 quarterfinals between Mountain Ridge and Clear Spring starts at 6 p.m., while the Southern Garrett at Hancock match starts at 5 p.m. For the Maryland 1A West Region 2 quarterfinals tonight, Brunswick takes on Boonesboro in Boonesboro. That match starts at 6:30. Back to boys soccer, the MPSSAA Region Finals last night took place between two Washington County boys soccer teams, North Hagerstown and Tuscarora. Seniors Bryson Rower and Drew Lobley each scored a goal for North Hagerstown, and they defeated Tuscarora 2-0 last night to capture the Class 3A West Region 1 title. The Hubs finished their season at 15-1-1, and they'll host Mount Hebron in the state quarterfinals Saturday at 7 p.m. Rower gave the Hubs a 1-0 lead in the 15th minute, scoring on a penalty kick after getting tripped in the box. But before he took the penalty kick, he offered the shot to Lobley, the team's leading scorer. Lobley got his chance in the 64th minute, taking a pass from Jack Hilker and turning it into a breakaway goal for a 2-0 lead. Goalkeeper Darius Gaiman made 5 saves for the Hubs, who withstood 9 corner kicks by the Tuscarora Titans. In the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final, the top-seeded Brunswick Railroaders shut out the visiting Boonesboro Warriors. Brady O'Dell made 6 saves for Boonesboro. In Franklin County sports, the Greencastle Antrim Blue Devils volleyball team reached the District 3 volleyball finals for the first time. This is uncharted territory for Greencastle Antrim, as they got a victory over a familiar opponent last night to get there. The Blue Devils met up with fellow Mid-Penn Colonial Division foe Big Spring on Tuesday night in Greencastle Antrim's gym in District 3 Class 3A semifinal match and produced a tense 3-1 victory in front of a packed house. The win not only puts Greencastle into the PIAA tournament, but it's the first time the Blue Devils, 18-2 this season, have ever reached a District 3 championship match in the sport. Better yet, they will play that final on Thursday night at 7 p.m. in their home gym against defending champion Middletown, who's 18-0 this year, and a 3-0 winner over Garden Spot in the other semifinal volleyball match. It's the Blue Devils' third win this year over the Bulldogs, 15-4, who will play at Garden Spot for third place and a PIAA berth on Thursday. For the Greencastle Antrim Blue Devils, Abby Eagler had 19 kills on the game, while Kylie Kearns had 12 kills. In service points, Jordan Wagner led with 12, while Kinsey Hudson added 11 service points for the Blue Devils. Jordan Wagner had 5 aces, Abby Eagler had 15 digs, and Elena Garling added 26 assists for the Blue Devils in the match.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com. Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Let's talk Tri-State.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by Home Right Windows and Doors in Waynesboro, the right choice, winner of the 2024 Best of the Tri-State Award.
Our first guest today, we have the Executive Director from the Tuscarora Area Chamber of Commerce. We have Kendra Thompson. Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And you've been with you were just saying a couple seconds ago, you're fairly new to your role of Executive Director. What does your role look like?
Going in, one of the things I noticed, everything was pretty much set because the chambers all have executive directors that take care of all of the different processes. So I had a good template to work from. One of the things I'm trying to do, though, is the new executive director, and I've only been there about 5 months, so everything's rather new, and I'm just getting my feet under me, so I'm still learning some things as we go along. But one of the things I'm doing is really trying to bring the entire processes up to a more automated type of version rather than to go with the old, snail mailing out different things. We're using a nice website with different automated features on it, and so I'm trying to do that.
And you said that there were a few new features at the chamber. One of them being the lunch and learn. Mm-hmm. Walk us through what that is.
So we just started that back in June. And what that is basically it's an opportunity for business owners or their employees to come to specific lunch and learns that have topics that would be of interest to them. And it could be anything from health, it could be best business practices, it could be something like safety in your business, insurances. We have the new Medicare open enrollment coming up, so we're going to have a lunch and learn on that as well. So it's just things that would be of interest to basic business owners and their employees. So they come, we provide a lunch for them, generally lasts about an hour and a half, and we have a speaker. Sometimes the speaker will just speak the entire time, and there might be a little Q&A session at the end. And other times, depending upon the topic, they may actually engage the audience and ask them specific questions about their business or any challenges they might have, and then we'll address it accordingly.
How do you come up with the topics that you'll have for the lunch and learn? Do the businesses say to you, hey, I'd really like to have a lunch and learn about XYZ?
That's kind of how it's going now, because when we first started in June, we kind of actively sought different speakers to come in. And now that we've had a few under our belt, I do have other business owners coming to me and saying, hey, I have a topic might be of interest. Can I consider going on the schedule for November, maybe January, something like that, and then we'll put it out.
Almost like a trial by fire. I just had to put out this fire, so I think I would be very well versed in talking about this.
Yes, exactly.
And that's good. I think when you can share experiences, because we've had a lot of representatives from chambers of commerce around the area in the last almost 2 weeks now, and the commonality is the networking, the connection between this business and that business. Okay, well, if you're having this issue, I just dealt with a business who was going through the same thing.
Right.
Let us connect you to. And I think that's an invaluable resource.
And I think people need to also understand that is really the purpose of the chamber. I mean, we are a networking vehicle. Sure, you get your name in the directory, you get your decal, you can sponsor different activities and things like that. But it really is trying to network businesses together so that they can sit and discuss different things. And that kind of rolls into one of the other features I know I had added as well about the roundtables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, I haven't started that yet. That's actually going to be, the first one's going to be in November. I don't have the date yet. We're still working out the specifics on it. The roundtables are meant more for business owners to come in and to have an opportunity to express their opinion, their expertise on particular topics. So it's less informal than like our lunch and learns. They're a little more formal, but grab a cup of coffee, come in, sit at the table, talk to other business owners about different challenges. We'll definitely have a topic for that particular, roundtable for that month, but it's just to get an idea of everybody's opinion and their views on things. And I think that open dialogue and open discussion is what's important. And that's what's meant to happen is to, hey, we had this happen 2 months ago, like you were saying, how did you guys handle it? That's kind of why I'm incorporating these.
Because at the end of the day, everybody's there for the same goal, and you want to see everybody succeed and excel.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And so I know you've already talked about some of the value of being a member. What are some other things that would be of value to be part of the Chamber of Commerce in Tuscarora?
So one of the things I'm also working on is our website, and it's becoming a little more automated, which is what I'm trying to do. And one of the things I want to add on there are job posting features, and in addition, of course, to the member directory, that's pretty standard, but also community-related events. Send me anything that you have about upcoming events that you're going to be doing, in the coming months. I'll put it on the website. We even have the option to allow people to RSVP to it, or even purchase tickets to it, or whatever you want to do. Just trying to make it a little bit more interactive for businesses to use that as a platform so they can reach out to their customers and to other business owners. There's a member section where you can actually go in and become a member of the website, and then you could talk to other people inside. You can message each other and talk about different topics. So it's more of a social platform in relation to that. Yeah.
And they just celebrated their 100th anniversary.
Wow.
Did you have any big celebration for the milestone?
So we were created in 1924. If you can believe, that. It's been quite a while.
Thank you for covering the math for Katie.
You're welcome. I just thought I would do that
her.
just in case anybody was counting backwards. 100 years. So actually, our big celebrations are going to be Tuesday at our annual banquet. So it's kind of a multifaceted event we're having. We're celebrating Business of the Year, Business Person of the Year, Educator of the Year, and we have our award ceremony. But we're also, celebrating our 100th year anniversary. So we're going to have a cake and coffee and all sorts of things, and we're really excited about that.
I should have asked you this at the outset, so my apologies, but a lot of our viewers and listeners have probably heard of Tuscarora. Mm-hmm. Because for years it's been featured if there's a school closing or delay, Tuscarora Area School District. But there may be some folks where their knowledge of Tuscarora ends with simply having heard about it. So can you take us through your geographic location? Mm-hmm. Where are you? Where can people visit the area that you cover? Take us through that if you would.
Sure. So the Tuscarora area is a very rural area. I would say Mercersburg tends to be kind of the focal point. It just tends to be because of a lot of the different activities that we're doing. But the area in and of itself encompasses Montgomery, Peters, St. Thomas, and Warren townships. So anyone in those vicinities are generally who I will, be contacting and working with businesses in those areas.
I remember it was, I believe, the year before last, is that the first year the Tractor Supply was there?
Yes.
And did a live broadcast there. Mm-hmm. And I had not been up in that area for a while, and I was amazed at how much it's grown.
It has.
To the point where there's a Tractor Supply and all these different businesses opening up, which is great. Yeah. Because it is, while it's close, depending on what you need, it can sometimes be rather isolated. Mm-hmm. Really, which is to me is a selling point.
Well, and that's part of the thing too. I mean, we're working. I work with other committees and other boards, like our vibrancy committee. We're working to look at ways to not only help the infrastructure of the area, but also to increase and entice businesses to come in. Obviously, I live personally in Mercersburg, so I'm just used to running all around Mercersburg myself, and it has grown, and I've been there since 1998. And I like the rural feel. I wanted to keep that rural feel, but yes, absolutely. We've got the land to have other businesses coming in, and even small businesses, mom and pop shops that want to come in that don't need a lot of real estate. Mm-hmm. We have that capability, and we have a lot of resources. We can help folks who want to start a business. They can reach out to the Development Council, and I can assist with that and help them to figure out the ins and outs of getting a loan and how to get the real estate and what you need to do to start your business anywhere, really. But yeah, it's grown quite a bit. Yeah. And you talk about Tractor Supply. Before we even had it in Mercersburg, I had to drive the whole way up into McConnellsburg, cross the mountain and now it's just convenient there. Right. It's great.
Well, take us through the, you mentioned about being out there a little bit, and of course I brought that up, and I agree, and I said that speaks to me because I would love to live out in the country, but this may not be your area of expertise, but I think we may have some folks who that may appeal to them, mm-hmm. being in that type of setting, just like it would be for me. Now, I'm not in the market to move, and I know real estate is not your area, but how does the real estate from a residential standpoint look in that area? Are there several developments? Are there any planned communities or anything that you know of?
I don't know for sure, but I understand that there is some real estate in the area around the Tractor Supply area, if you're familiar, which I know you're familiar with, that they're planning to build I don't know if it's going to be single family or townhouses or what they're planning to do, but there is some sort of plan in the works right now. I don't know how far out they are on that because I'm not in the borough and finding out what they're doing specifically, but there's been rumors of that. And I think it's going to happen. I'm just not sure when.
And I think it's a good idea that we talk about that here, because if a business is considering expanding into that area, it's nice for them to know that there would be a planned community of, say, 200 homes. Okay, well, there's your clientele right there.
Right.
Potential.
Right.
I have been thinking about in the next few years here buying a home.
Oh, have you?
I have, and I spent, I don't know if you know this or not, Tiny, a couple of weeks ago, I spent a few hours in Mercersburg and parked my car, walked around the streets, went into a couple of the businesses, and really got a feel for the town because a couple people from work had said, have you ever thought about Mercersburg? And I really felt that small town, quaint camaraderie amongst the residents. And that's my number one of places that I've been looking at to buy a house is in Mercersburg. I think there's a lot to offer for that wonderful little area.
There is. And there's a lot of history there too. You know, there's a lot of history. And, you know, even if you aren't looking into a home in the development, there are lots of beautiful old homes that are for sale around the area. And my home itself is 100 years old. Ooh. And I love it. And it's,
so it was built in 1924 when the chamber
Yeah.
was also.
We are, yes.
We're learning.
Yeah, so we're celebrating 100 years for my house. But it's a beautiful, unique house. It's not a cookie cutter. It's got some cool features and the pocket doors and the hardwood floors and all that stuff, which I love.
Sure.
I love that.
What's something what is your favorite thing about living in Mercersburg?
I'd have to say, and again, this may be an acquired taste, but it gives you a very small town, safe, comfortable feeling. It's I'm not recommending this, but I mean, you almost feel like you could just leave your doors unlocked and not have to worry about, you know, high crime, a lot of, you know, shenanigans going on. It's quiet, you know.
But you don't want Katie moving in.
I don't. Okay, so we'll have to make sure.
I'm a little loud.
But it is. It's just a beautiful area, and I feel very safe, and I like that. And that's one of the reasons why we chose to live in Mercersburg with my children, is because I felt it would be a safe environment for them to be in.
And the school system is very, very obviously small population for the schools. So what was, if you know, the last graduating class was? I mean,
like
I've
how
heard,
many?
Yeah, I've heard numbers.
I
like
don't
40
know.
or something like that.
I'm not sure. It's small, but you know, it's funny. I used to be a substitute teacher at the high school, and the classes were small.
Did you say 40?
They're small classes, small graduating classes.
I don't know about 40.
Yeah, that may be off, but I
ooh,
remember that
that's
the
really
numbers,
low.
Yeah.
comparatively speaking, from what you hear,
Yeah.
in obviously the Hagerstown larger areas, which
Oh,
it
yeah.
would be smaller.
Oh my
but,
gosh, yeah.
You know, you hear those numbers and you're like, wow, that's crazy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What about some upcoming events? What's going to be happening in Mercersburg as we move towards the holiday season?
Oh, okay. So we have our tree lighting ceremony. That's coming up November 30th. And that's downtown Mercersburg. And what we'll do is we have a tree that we put out in the square. It's usually around where the M&T Bank is. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the square. But it'll be set up there around the M&T Bank. I have Benchfield Farms is going to be doing carriage rides for us. So we'll have the horse-drawn carriages. The carriage seats about 8 to 12 people. We have a nice little area they're going to go around. And Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus are going to be there. And Mrs. Claus is going to be on the carriage doing, talking to the kids and saying some Christmas songs and stories with the kids. And then, of course, Santa, he's very, very busy. But he will be there sitting in the chair getting pictures taken with the kids as well. And then we have a lot of different vendors that are going to be out offering mulled cider, wassail, gingerbread cookies. We even have some spiked hot chocolate for the adults that are interested in that.
Nice.
Yeah, baked goods, you know, all kinds of cookies, cakes, and fun things like that. So
You're speaking our language.
I know. But it's only in the evening, and it runs from 6 to 8. So it's a small little ceremony that we do, and it's a fun thing we look forward to every year.
Of course.
Katie's used to having the spiked hot chocolate around noon as opposed to the evening. So
Yeah, that's me.
it'll be
Right
a
at
sacrifice
noon.
for her.
We'll make you wait. Sorry.
She'll adjust, I'm sure. But
I'm sure.
Those small town events, I've seen more and more where, like, for instance, I live in Waynesboro, and the number of people who show up to like the Waynesboro tree lighting who aren't from Waynesboro. we have people who come from Williamsport, and Williamsport has a beautiful tree lighting, and all these small towns have that. But they just come to these places because there's that.
The feeling
that
is
feel.
contagious.
Yes.
It's
It
wonderful.
really
That
is.
community and
really
Christmas
is.
is just,
Yeah.
we've talked about this over the past week and a half. It just brings back all those wonderful memories.
Yeah.
It does for me, it does for Katie, and I'm sure it does for you, and some place like Mercersburg, which is just beautiful in general.
It is a beautiful place.
To be lit up for Christmas. All these towns around here, we're so fortunate that we live in all these small towns that take such pride in their holiday events and the lead up, and obviously, the parades, the tree lightings. It's wonderful. It really is.
Yep.
Kendra, before we wrap up here, I know we just have a minute or two left. If a business was thinking about joining the Chamber of Commerce, where would they go? How would they get started?
So they can go to tachamber.org. That's our website. And there's a contact me page, and it comes directly to me. They can also just email me directly, and my email is director@tachamber.org. Excuse me. But I'm always happy to talk to different businesses about what we offer, what we can do for them, what their particular challenges are, and then hopefully if they see value in it, they'll join the chamber and, become part of the community. So,
Do you have experience, I'm sure you do, with state grants and things of that
I
nature?
don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
No, I don't.
I didn't know if there was potential incentives from the state for businesses to move into the chamber. Like, for instance, if the state would grant Tuscarora Chamber X amount of dollars, and then you would have the discretion to entice businesses to come in, but we can help you with this, or we can help you do your storefront, or we can pay for a power washing or whatever. I didn't know if that was...
At this point, no, but I do have resources that I can assist in through other organizations. So,
That's good,
yeah.
because sometimes the grant writing can be...
Yeah. I mean, that might be something down the road for me, but right now I haven't gotten into that part of it.
You said 5 months, so you're still
5 months.
you're getting your feet underneath
I
you
am
right now.
definitely trying to get my feet under
Next time you come here, you're going to say, well, Tiny, Katie, we have $1 million.
Look at all these grants that we
Look at all
have.
these things.
And we need people to come take this $1 million.
Yeah, look at this.
Kendra, thank you so much for spending some time with
Yeah,
us today
thank
on
you.
Let's Talk Tri-State, and we really enjoyed having you on the show today.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at news and sports. It's all powered by 2A Arms LLC, 2A and PA Firearms and Freedom.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com. Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Chambersburg Area School Board has approved the first job descriptions for positions that are part of a big plan to overhaul the district's staffing structure and improve academic outcomes, with the details for the positions of elementary school counselor, content specialist, and elementary intervention specialist set yesterday. The Human Resource Department can begin recruitment efforts and work towards making hires early next year for the 25-26 school year. I cannot believe that's coming up, 25-26 school year. Oh my goodness, time flies.
And we reported about this, the overhaul, last week or the week before, and I'm very glad to see that this is happening very quickly.
Yes, they are putting it into play very quickly.
Last week we reported about a shooting in Shippensburg that
For homecoming.
it was during homecoming, and there were no injuries reported. As far as I know, there still were no injuries. Cannot say the same about this. One individual was killed, another was hospitalized in a stabbing on Sunday night in the Shippensburg borough, according to Pennsylvania State Police. They say at about 10 p.m. on Sunday, troopers responded to the first block of North Washington Street for a report that two individuals had been stabbed. State police say the victim was identified as Christopher Noon II of San Antonio, Texas. The surviving victim was transported to Penn State Holy Spirit Medical Center, and the state police say the investigation surrounding the homicide is ongoing, but there is no current threat to the public. This is just, that's awful.
And Shippensburg,
Yeah.
two stories about that in Shippensburg. That's not normally a place where we hear stories like this.
I don't usually hear anything about Shippensburg.
Mm-hmm.
The most I've heard about Shippensburg is when we had an interview the last week, I believe, regarding, I can't think of it. What was the company?
Commerce? Chamber of Commerce? No, it wasn't the Chamber of Commerce. Yes, I know.
SRCC. That's what it was.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yes. So anyway, you're right. You don't hear about this. It's a and look, this is an isolated incident. I understand that. But when we
reported two different things kind of almost back to back in Shippensburg.
I'm sure people will say, what's happening to our town. Shippensburg is wonderful. Could not recommend it more.
I mean, I lived there for a little bit. I really enjoyed my time there.
It's just a very unfortunate thing that someone lost their life, and hopefully this run of bad things ends.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check in with sports with Andy. It's all powered by Virtus Men's Health in Hagerstown. Telehealth is available, and you can find them online at virtusmenshealth.com.
Last night, Game 4 of the World Series took place between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the New York Yankees in New York. The Dodgers were trying to get a sweep of the Yankees for the World Series and get another championship under their belt. But the Yankees did not let that happen last night, beating the Dodgers by a score of 11-4. Getting the win on the night for the New York Yankees was Clay Holmes, and Daniel Hudson acquired the loss for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Anthony Volpe of the New York Yankees was the spark plug that they needed in Game 4 last night. Volpe crushed a grand slam for the New York Yankees in Game 4 to give them the edge they needed to pull out a victory and make the World Series go to a Game 5. Which will take place tonight at Yankee Stadium at 8:08. We'll see if the Yankees can pull off another win and keep their World Series hopes alive, or will the Dodgers get a win tonight in New York and be celebrating a World Series championship win on the New York Yankees home field? In NBA action last night, a high-scoring affair between the Denver Nuggets and the Brooklyn Nets took place. The game went into overtime, and the Nuggets ended up winning 144-139. The Dallas Mavericks beat the Minnesota Timberwolves 120-114, and the Sacramento Kings beat the Utah Jazz 113-96. The Utah Jazz are still winless on the season. The New Orleans Pelicans lost to the Golden State Warriors last night 124-106. Zion Williams scored 31 points with 8 rebounds, and Lindy Walters III led the scoring for the Golden State Warriors with 21 points and 8 rebounds. Coming up tonight, the Toronto Raptors take on the Charlotte Hornets at 7. Also at 7, the Los Angeles Lakers take on the undefeated Cleveland Cavaliers. The Boston Celtics, also undefeated, will take on the Indiana Pacers at 7. And the Detroit Pistons will battle the Philadelphia 76ers. The Atlanta Hawks take on the Washington Wizards. The New York Knicks will battle the Miami Heat, and the Orlando Magic will take on the Chicago Bulls. The Brooklyn Nets will battle the Memphis Grizzlies, and the San Antonio Spurs will take on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the Portland Trail Blazers will battle the Los Angeles Clippers. That game starting at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
Let's talk Tri-State.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Tri-State, powered by HomeRight Windows and Doors in Waynesboro. The right choice, voted 2024 Best of the Tri-State.
Our next guest, this is something I'm not super familiar, so I have a lot of questions for you, but we are joined by Randy Wilson. He is a leadership and business coach for a company called Real PD. Thanks so much for being here with us on Let's Talk Tri-State.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And Real PD is an acronym.
Yes.
what does it stand for?
Well, I was in the Air Force 25 years, so I had to have an acronym. It stands for Reliable, Efficient, Ethical Leadership, and the PD is Professional Development.
And so you work for your own company.
Yes.
And you provide leadership and business coaching.
Yes.
What is your background? How did you get into this?
Yeah, it's funny. So 25 years Air Force, 6 years in the corporate world, and one day my wife asked me, what's your passion? Because I was having a tough period, 5 in the morning to 11 at night, a lot of work. And she said, what's your passion? And I said, I love to help people to grow, talk about leadership. And then she connected me to the John Maxwell team. And then I became certified several months later, and that's how it all started, because she asked me that one question.
So then do you coach businesses or individuals or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. The businesses, it could be like coaching certain individuals into business, or it could be team building, it could be team training, it could be whatever the business needs. But sometimes I'll have an individual come to me and say, hey, I'm looking at leaving this job and starting another one, but I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And so it's whatever the individual or team needs. And
then do you have offer different levels of coaching?
It's they call it executive level. You're working with like the C-suite, CEO, CIO, COO, all the C's,
mm-hmm.
or all the way down to a worker, right? I had a bank that asked me, hey, can you come in and help this person with their attitude? Right?
Wow.
They were eligible for retiring in the spring, and this was October, and they said if they didn't change their attitude, they weren't going to retire. So I went in, sat down with the lady. An hour later, she walked out, hugged the HR director, and apologized. She ended up retiring. So I help people at all levels.
It's a nice company that would even extend that as an option to say, look, we want to look out for this lady, this employee. We want to see her make retirement, but it's not going to happen if something doesn't change. So not a lot of companies would do that.
You're right.
So good for them. But the question that I have for you is, do you find more reward personally in the organizational coaching or the individual coaching?
Both. I can't say it's more, one's more than the other. It's the results. Seeing the light bulbs come on, see the change, and seeing either the individual or their team to grow and to be better. Each one is very rewarding
mm-hmm.
for me.
Do you see any recurring themes as you've been doing this coaching?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Doesn't matter the profession, doesn't matter the location, doesn't matter the level. A lot of people, they focus on everything else except for taking care of the things they can take care of. Even like I had a CFO of a large organization. They were complaining about what the CEO wasn't doing. And I said, well, what are you doing? Well, the CEO isn't doing, well, what are you doing? The CEO isn't, I'm like, this is about you. What can you do, right, to move you forward, move the organization forward? And that's a common theme. And even down to the lowest level, well, look at leadership. What are they doing? What's everybody else? People are wondering what everybody else is doing instead of focusing on themselves and being the best that they can be.
They allow someone else's issues to hinder them for some reason.
Yeah, they take it personal.
Do you ever find when you're coaching that it starts to carry over into like life coaching at all?
Yeah.
And is that a boundary that you have to set with your clients, or is it fluid?
It's fluid. Yeah, a lot of people are affected by what happens at home, right? Or they're affected by childhood stuff. And so that ends up working itself into a session a lot of times, because they're thinking a certain way, acting a certain way, don't know why, and then I start asking questions, and then you realize, well, there it is. Like I was picked on in school. I'm very focused on how other people are treated because of that, and that goes I'm 59, so it goes back a long ways. Everybody's affected by things that have happened in their lives, but they just don't realize a lot of times. And that carries over into work. So it's a lot of times it's the individual personal side as well as the business side.
And then if someone signs up with you, I'm trying to think how I want to word this question. Is there an allotted amount of time that you work with the clients, or is it just changing based on the needs of person to person?
It changes. So like if you and we sign up, I usually go session to session. So it might be a 15-minute thing, might be a half hour. Hour is about the max. I have some clients been coaching for years, right? And they get something out of every session. Sometimes it's only a couple sessions, so it flexes.
How would someone know if they needed coaching? How would you know, okay, I have to call Randy and get some assistance?
I think you both need coaching.
Let's do it. We're here. We have a few minutes.
Everybody really needs coaching, because what coaching is, it's about helping the individual to learn about themselves, realize things about themselves so they can make changes. And thinking about ourselves can be painful a lot of times, right? So we don't do it. But when you have a coaching session, you get into that, then there's real growth. And everybody needs coaching in some way, including me.
Yeah. I think I look at it from the standpoint of, I always think of a plant or a flower. Every flower needs to grow, and the moment that the flower stops growing, it starts dying.
That's it. Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah.
And like you said, that goes from the top down. If the moment comes where you think you can't learn anything else, then stop what you're doing, start a TV show, write a book, because you know the secret that no one else knows.
That's it.
And you need to share that thing.
That's it.
Do people ever call you if their career is going really well and everything's great, and they just want to make sure that they're staying on the same path? Yeah. Would that be a conversation that you would also have with people?
Yeah, absolutely, because even though things are going well, there's still things that people need help with, right? Maybe it's an interpersonal thing. Maybe it's, how can I lead my team better to get them to be even better than they are today? Because you think about Olympians, right? They don't stop practicing. They don't, okay, I don't need you, coach, anymore, right? They don't get rid of their coaches because they know that no matter how good they are, they could be better. Mm. So, yeah, I mean, doesn't matter how good an individual or a company is, they can still be better.
One of the best quotes that I ever heard was from Jimmy Johnson, the great football coach. And he said, we don't practice to get it right. We practice so that we can't get it wrong. Yeah. And that was so profound to me. And it would come from a football coach. Yeah, but Jimmy Johnson, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. And if he never said one notable thing in just that one, he did it for me, because I always think of that.
Yeah. So then, I mean, if we were in a coaching session, I would ask you something like, so what was it about that really touched you, right? That would be a coaching.
Can we have a quick coaching?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so what was it about that spoke to you and continues to speak to you?
Because in what we do in our business, being on the radio, there's always something that needs practice. And we practice it, and we practice it, and we practice it, and it's reps. It's just like anything, bodybuilding, whatever. So what spoke to me is that's a direct application to what we do. Yeah. And as the person who is trying to lead our programming team, is we need to practice. We cannot forget the basics. I'm sure Jimmy Johnson, when he was saying this quote, was still having his players come out and run those same drills every single day. It's like when we do math, we start with addition, then subtraction, then multiplication, then division, but you never stop adding, subtracting, and multiplying just because you get to division. It's all foundational things. And that's what spoke to me, is the broad application for it.
So how do you keep doing that? Because sometimes we probably don't feel like it. We're not energized. Mm-hmm. Lots of stuff going on. So how do you, in those moments, how do you still carry that on?
I always give examples of where I see staff doing those basics, and reinforce that and give because I mean it, and it's not just hyperbole. I mean it when I say I notice those basics, and if you continue to do that, which I highly encourage you do, it's one of the goals, then you can only stand to improve. Yeah. And when you do better, everyone does better.
Yeah, so good, isn't it? Yeah.
Do you want to coach me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. How do we start?
So what's something in your life like that quote? What's one thing that perhaps your grandparents or a mentor or somebody shared with you? What would that be?
A piece of life advice, perhaps?
Yeah, a quote or something.
I think something that I keep in my mind a lot is fake it till you make it. Walk like you know where you're going. Mm-hmm. I think for me personally, sometimes I have very, very big emotions, and they get the better of me, and I don't always like for people to see those things, so I try to keep them a little bit more hidden in the fake it like till you make it type of thing.
Is that true?
It's very true. Yes.
I am an incredibly emotional person.
Yeah.
If I'm not between here, if I'm not here, I'm crying. If I'm too happy, I'm crying. If I'm upset, I'm crying. If I'm angry, frustrated, anything, I'm crying.
That's why
a lot.
Katie had asked me years ago, because we've known each other and worked together the same amount of time. So since 2009, we've worked together. Yeah. And she would always say to me, Tiny, what do I do if I'm doing this and I mess up? And I've always told her 2 words: keep going. Yeah. Because most of the time, people don't have any idea you did. And if they did notice, they realize you're human just like they are. So you can't lose in that scenario if you just keep going.
Yeah. You beat yourself up.
Oh, it's intense.
But but realistically though, Randy, don't we all?
Yeah, we do.
And if we don't, then I think we get to that, either you are indifferent and don't care if you don't beat yourself up, or you have reached what I just said earlier, apparently that pinnacle where you don't need to improve. I'll never have a harsher critic than myself. Yeah. When I was growing up and would get the report cards, if it would say, it would have a grade or a mark that I didn't like, I was so disappointed in myself. All the other kids were worried, oh my goodness, my parents are going to find out. Yeah. Forget my parents. I mean, nothing mom or dad is going to do to me is going to make it worse than I'm feeling right now with that disappointment, that I would go home dejected, say, here's my report card. Don't worry though, I've already talked to the teacher, and I was always I never wanted those bad marks on the report card. And that goes with life too. Who wants bad marks? Yeah. But I've always learned more from my mistakes than I have from my successes. And I value them more than I do the successes.
Do you think there's a way that, when you're beating yourself up, you feel it in your body, right? You feel like down. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that you could get the same results of continuing to get past that without beating yourself up, but just realize, hey, you know what? I need to keep growing. I need to keep changing and getting better without the beating yourself up part. Is there a way that you could do that?
Maybe just education. Through education, the more you know, the more you educate yourself, the less. I don't know.
Yeah, like when you beat yourself up, it's not a good feeling.
No,
right?
It's terrible. Right? Yeah.
So why would we want to do that to ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we? You know what? That didn't go as well as I wanted.
How can I learn for next time?
How can I learn? Like, do you know Thomas Edison? Right? Awesome story. He in the early 1900s, he had like a 8-facility invention campus, and just before Christmas, it all burnt. Like, imagine watching your life's work burning. Something profound he said to his kids was, "Kids, get your mom, because she'll never see a fire this grand again." Could you imagine, right? Imagine what our responses would be, beating ourselves up. How could I do that? How did I, right? That's the beating ourselves up. But his attitude was, right, get your mom. Yeah. Right? Wow. And then he rebuilt, and then he invented more stuff for like a decade after that.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the best, I thought you were going to go here with Thomas Edison. Yeah. One of the best quotes that he had was, there was over 100 times that he, quote unquote, we would probably say he failed the light bulb experiment. Yeah. And when he was questioned about it, and they said, well, how did you deal with the fact that you failed 100 times to get it successful? He said, I didn't fail 100 times. He said, I just found 100 ways to not make a light bulb.
That's it, right?
Put the spin on it.
Yeah, so maybe awareness, right? Awareness, we don't have to beat ourselves up. We've learned to do that since an early age, but it doesn't feel good. Mm-mm. So what if we kind of take some of Thomas Edison's thinking and say, hey, you know what? Oh, there it is again, beating myself up. It's not helping. More beneficial approach would be than fill in blank.
Turn the negative energy into positive energy.
And why don't we celebrate ourselves more too? If we're so quick to beat each other up, or beat ourselves up, not each other.
Right. Well, it depends on how much you get on my nerves.
Yeah. Why aren't we celebrating? When we do something great. Hey, that was awesome! As much as we are prone to beat ourselves up, but. Listen, Randy, I could talk to you all day long.
Yeah, we could.
And I would love for you to life coach me. I've always wanted a life coach. How can people find you?
Well, a couple of ways. Randy@realpd.com. That's my email.
REEL.
Right? And I'll keep it real, I promise. And
I really like that.
there you go. Fast student.
Pun queen, buddy. Pun queen.
Or my cell phone, 717-414-6064. So either way.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This was fun.
Yeah,
Thank you,
fun.
Randy. Really enjoyed that.
This was really great.
I feel like we should have you back for like a monthly segment.
Yeah.
Coaching
Yes.
people
That'd
up.
be great.
I really do.
Yeah,
Yes,
that'd be great.
I do love free therapy. I'm just kidding.
We all do.
Right. Yeah.
Coming up, we're going to take our last look at news and sports, and it's all powered by Veritas Men's Health in Hagerstown. They do have telehealth available. You can find them online at veritasmenshealth.com.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk Tri-State, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com. Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
You know, we had Sam on here recently from Downtown Chambersburg Incorporated, and he talked to us a little bit about the new amphitheater.
Yeah.
And now the ribbon has been cut for the start of the Chambersburg $880,000 Spring Street Amphitheater project next to Chambers Fort Park. It's going to be a 400-seat project, marks a major step towards revitalizing downtown Chambersburg with a venue for community gatherings, performances, and other outdoor events. 400 people, I'm thinking weddings, different...
I'm thinking we do a concert.
Concerts would work,
Yeah.
all different family reunions. I just think it's going to be a really wonderful addition to Chambersburg.
Katie karaoke nights.
Oh, karaoke, if you will.
Well, no, not you. I mean, like Katy Perry. Maybe we get her there. It's a nice big venue.
Yeah, I think we would need more than 400 seats if Katy Perry was going to come and sing karaoke with us.
Maybe it will be you. Let's have you do it. Yeah.
I might be able to fill 50.
The Hagerstown City Council has approved a move. They did so yesterday to increase signing bonuses for HPD employees, one of the many retention and recruitment efforts the department's taking to increase numbers. Hagerstown Police Chief Joey Kiefer said the department is short-staffed and current officers have to be, this is sad, I don't like this, have to be reactive to the number of calls they need to respond to. He hopes the department's efforts, which range from offering officers their own take-home cruiser to salary increases, will increase the department staffing and lessen the amount of calls officers have to take on a daily basis. New officers with less than a year of experience now start at right around $62,000.
Okay, that's a pretty good starting salary.
You know, I think, as with anything, I'm sure, but I think could and should be higher.
Absolutely.
These are men and women who are really willing to step into the line of duty, and it can be very dangerous. And it all goes back to, how do you put a numerical value on a life? You can't. But at the same time, I think the fact that that this is the starting salary, I don't know. I think it should be more.
Okay, I definitely think it should be more, but the number...
It's a step in the right direction. I get it.
I think the same thing about educators.
Yeah.
I think that salary should be higher as well. But that's a whole new conversation for another day on...
Well, look, when you're in education, yes, it does come with inherent risks. I mean, the parents had to entrust their child with you to educate them, which I don't know how you did it. But
I will have you know that twice I was nominated by my peers for Teacher of the Year. So I'll just have you know that right off the bat.
that's because Katie's in the meeting and she's going,
I did not nominate myself.
you know, I would really love to win Teacher of the Year.
I did not
I just don't get nominated. Julie, can you nominate me? you nominate me, I'll nominate you.
We're going to check in with news and sports, and it's all powered... No, not news and sports. I did this yesterday, too. We're going to check in with sports with Andy. We just gave you the news. Sorry about that. All powered by DRB Group, the right partner for your real estate development.
It's time for your local sports roundup. First for Washington County, last night in boys soccer. Congratulations going out to North Hagerstown. They beat Tuscarora 2-0 in the Maryland 3A Region 1 final game. Brunswick also beat Boonesboro in the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final 3-0. Congratulations to both boys soccer teams. Coming up tonight for flag football, South Hagerstown travels to North Hagerstown. That kickoff is at 5 p.m. And last night, for the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final for girls soccer, Brunswick also beat Smithsburg 4-1. Last night in girls volleyball, South Hagerstown beat Catoctin 3-0, winning by scores of 25-20, 25-18, and 25-18. Tonight, the Maryland 3A West Region 1 quarterfinals between South Hagerstown and Linganore will kick off at 6 p.m., and the Maryland 1A West Region 1 quarterfinals between Mountain Ridge and Clear Spring starts at 6 p.m., while the Southern Garrett at Hancock match starts at 5 p.m. For the Maryland 1A West Region 2 quarterfinals tonight, Brunswick takes on Boonesboro in Boonesboro. That match starts at 6:30. Back to boys soccer, the MPSSAA Region Finals last night took place between two Washington County boys soccer teams, North Hagerstown and Tuscarora. Seniors Bryson Rohr and Drew Lobley each scored a goal for North Hagerstown, and they defeated Tuscarora 2-0 last night to capture the Class 3A West Region 1 title. The Hubs finished their season at 15-1-1, and they'll host Mount Hebron in the state quarterfinals Saturday at 7 p.m. Rohr gave the Hubs a 1-0 lead in the 15th minute, scoring on a penalty kick after getting tripped in the box. But before he took the penalty kick, he offered the shot to Lobley, the team's leading scorer. Lobley got his chance in the 64th minute, taking a pass from Jack Hilker and turning it into a breakaway goal for a 2-0 lead. Goalkeeper Darius Gieman made 5 saves for the Hubs, who withstood 9 corner kicks by the Tuscarora Titans. In the Maryland 1A West Region 2 final, the top-seeded Brunswick Railroaders shut out the visiting Boonesboro Warriors. Brady O'Dell made 6 saves for Boonesboro. In Franklin County sports, the Greencastle Antrim Blue Devils volleyball team reached the District 3 volleyball finals for the first time. This is uncharted territory for Greencastle Antrim, as they got a victory over a familiar opponent last night to get there. The Blue Devils met up with fellow Mid-Penn Colonial Division foe Big Spring on Tuesday night in Greencastle Antrim's gym in District 3 Class 3A semifinal match and produced a tense 3-1 victory in front of a packed house. The win not only puts Greencastle into the PIAA tournament, but it's the first time the Blue Devils, 18-2 this season, have ever reached a District 3 championship match in the sport. Better yet, they will play that final on Thursday night at 7 p.m. in their home gym against defending champion Middletown, who's 18-0 this year, and a 3-0 winner over Garden Spot in the other semifinal volleyball match. It's the Blue Devils' third win this year over the Bulldogs, 15-4, who will play at Garden Spot for third place and a PIAA berth on Thursday. For the Greencastle Antrim Blue Devils, Abby Eagler had 19 kills on the game, while Kylie Kearns had 12 kills. In service points, Jordan Wagner led with 12, while Kinsey Hudson added 11 service points for the Blue Devils. Jordan Wagner had 5 aces, Abby Eagler had 15 digs, and Elena Garling added 26 assists for the Blue Devils in the match.
If you'd like to be featured on the Coach's Corner with Andy, email coach at 921thegoat.com. Local and live, covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk Tri-State with Tiny and Katie.
We're going to be speaking with Karen Johnston, who is the Executive Director of Healthy Communities Partnership. Happy Monday afternoon to you, Karen.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Sure. Let's just start by talking about Healthy Communities Partnership. What is it? What's the mission?
So we are a private nonprofit we're located physically in Chambersburg, although we serve Franklin County for the most part, and I say for the most part because we also do some other counties with some of our services. But we are primarily focused on health and well-being of our youth, our families, and our communities. We started about 30 years ago under the umbrella of Summit Health when Summit was still in our area as a 501c3 and have branched out ever since then. So primarily health and wellness based, really focusing on positive health habits, positive healthy behaviors that we can involve our youth and our families getting
Do you work within
focused with.
the school systems?
So we work very closely with the school systems. A lot of our programs, again, are focused on prevention. So we're doing a lot with the primary prevention, really putting out their information so that youth and families in the community are familiar with what might be going on in terms of youth substance abuse, the new trends, the current trends, the up and coming trends, unfortunately, which come at us faster than we would like. So we are very much in the school system. And so we do, again, the primary prevention where we're working and doing classroom lessons with K through 12 groups on those types of information. We're in the community at various events, again, sharing with the community, family members, community members, what dangers might be out there in terms of substance use or some of the other things we're looking at right now, specifically with behavioral health and some of the anxiety and depression and things that have been experienced by youth and also parents and caregivers, certainly since COVID. We also do some other programmatic things that are more, I would say they're prevention, but they're more on an intervention level, a very basic intervention level where we're really trying to work with these children and these families before things get really serious and they need some treatment or things of that nature.
I'm going to kind of assume here that one of the things that you probably are educating the youth on is vaping. I know that's been one of those trends.
Yes,
that is.
It absolutely. It's one of the biggest one, and it's interesting because statistically, we work a lot. A lot of our programs are also making sure that we're gathering those statistics locally, statewide, comparing them not only to other municipalities about our size, but comparing them statewide, comparing them nationwide. And I keep hearing about we get a survey every 2 months called the Pennsylvania Youth Survey, and it just came out. And the vaping rates, interestingly enough, I mean, they're higher than they have been, but they're lower than what we're hearing on the national level. So when I go to national conferences, we think the issue is probably bigger than the kids are letting on that it is. But it is definitely one of the things that has grown exponentially since COVID, and I think a lot of that was as a coping mechanism and still is. So that's huge. But what I like to say is we always have to kind of look over the left side of the shoulder because there's always something coming up. And the biggest thing now, and this may shock some of the viewers, and some people are like, wait a minute, I don't even know what that is. It's called Zyn. It's actually a teeny tiny pouch. And if you go into a market, go into maybe one of the local shops, I don't want to say the names of some of the bigger markets where you can get things off the shelf, but you'll see it, ZYN, and they're little pouches that kids can, and they have all these terms they use, upper deck, lower deck, they put them up, they put them down, they double deck, and they're easily hidden. Vapes are easily hidden. They hide them in clothing. They hide them in bracelets, lipstick-looking things.
What's the purpose of the Zyn? What is it sold
they
for?
They have, again, it's the nicotine. It's the nicotine rush.
Okay.
They're saying that Zyn is safer because it actually isn't using the tobacco plant, but it is using some derivative, and it has nicotine in it. So again, it's getting that induction of the addiction started and the nicotine updraft. The problem is, again, as with vaping, as with Zyn, they're using it because it's so easy. And again, a vape, they're puffing on that maybe, a pack of cigarettes has 20 cigarettes in it. So if you use a pack a day, but a vape, you could hit on 30 times in half a day. Right. And so you're getting more nicotine. So yeah, it's getting them addicted. It's getting them addicted faster, quicker.
And as with any addiction, eventually that becomes not enough.
Yes.
So then it's
more.
I used to use smokeless tobacco.
Yes.
Unfortunately, and it is just this constant.
Yes.
A lot of it becomes.
Yes.
I always said more or less something to do.
Yes.
I'm bored.
Yes.
And the harm that it could potentially have done to me.
Yes.
Was an afterthought.
Yes.
And I was just Katie can attest to this. It was all you.
Yep.
You would see me more using it than not.
Yeah.
It became just the way it was. And then when I quit, the best thing in the world, I didn't have to worry about it. And it was no longer the monkey on the back when it came to that. But I was not a smoker. That's all I did.
Yeah.
But so I can totally understand. And there's something maybe you can speak to this, Karen. Am I wrong in saying that there's something with the lingual nerve
Absolutely.
that it is the fastest to the
Yes.
brain? Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because again, you're having access right there to the nerves,
Right.
and you're getting right, and that's why Zen is so powerful as well. And again, some of the statistics, depending on the nitration that they're getting, there's a 3 milligram and a 6 milligram, but these kids are sometimes using like 8 to 10 a day, and they're getting at least a pack and a half. If they're doing a 3 milligram, they're getting a pack and a half of cigarette, the equivalent of a pack
Right.
and a half of
Wow.
cigarettes.
Now, is Zen the name brand, or
Zen is the name
okay.
brand, and there's other iterations. But again, the marketing, just like with vapes, the marketing is incredible. The latest, going back and forth. I know I'm going back and forth between Zen and the vape, but the vapes, the most recent was they look like highlighters. They literally look. You could not tell the vape from a highlighter.
And this is to maybe get
them into schools.
Yeah, sure.
And again, not knowing that's happened. Now the Zen again is using I can't think of the name of the gum or the name of the candy, but they're using the packaging like a candy. And so again,
Almost
it's
like an
getting
Altoid.
almost like an Altoid. They're getting them in, and they have these collector's boxes, and again, getting the kids in. And absolutely, and the thing, I think the scariest thing, we didn't know what we didn't know about tobacco and cigarettes. We didn't know what we didn't know about smokeless tobacco. Now we know some of those things. We're still catching up on the vaping. I mean, there's some serious things that are happening to our youth and individuals that are using vapes that we have no idea. Wow. So that statistical stuff has not caught up, and the health risks have not caught up.
And they're also making it to where there's no. The big trend when vaping first started was that you could have it could smell like Fruity Pebbles.
Yes.
But now
Yes.
they make
They're
them
trying to
where
make
they're
it odorless.
unscented completely.
Yeah.
So you
Well,
don't even know
the
if someone's doing it.
flavors were actually meant to attract youth.
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So interestingly enough, though, it's not a vape; it's an aerosol. So you can't call it. Who would do I'm aerosoling? Nobody would do aerosol. So they don't call it what it really is. An aerosol is not supposed to go into your lungs.
No, I remember when
so
we were
it's-
kids, people were taking aerosol
Yeah,
candles
yes,
and getting high
yes.
off of those. So it's basically
Yeah,
the same thing.
but that's the same thing. But we don't call it aerosoling; we call it vaping. Or
Wow.
it's interesting.
And
So-
I'm sure I have a lot of
Yeah, I was
questions
gonna
about
say, yeah.
this particular topic, but I want to make sure that we touch on some of your
Yeah,
other programs.
sure.
I know that you have a program called Check and Connect that I was researching
Sure.
on your website. That was
Yeah.
pretty interesting.
It's very interesting, and it's one of those things that, fortunately or unfortunately, we've now sort of wandered into that territory with our youth, disconnecting from school, really finding that they don't know why school's important, why they need to be in school, why they need to learn the things that they're learning. And so Check and Connect is an attachment program where it's a 2-year commitment between the student's parents have to agree to it, and then the student gets hooked up with a mentor who follows them 2 years. They meet with them weekly through the school year. They also meet with them in the summer. They'll do maybe activities with them in the summer, but really trying to get them connected with another adult so that they can start learning that they need to form healthy adult relationships. Because one of the things that we know empirically is that what makes a student successful versus another student is having at least one strong, trusted adult relationship in their lives. Now, that might be a parent. It might not be a parent. But that's what we're doing with our mentors in Check and Connect, is really trying to re-engage them in school and find out what can we do to get them back into school.
How would someone enroll their child in that program?
So usually they're identified through the school. They're either identified in one of our other programs, it's called the Student Assistance Program, or they're identified by the counselor or maybe one of their teachers. A parent certainly could get them enrolled. We have several parents who call us. But we connect with them. We have sort of a rubric that we follow to see what's going on. Is it academics? Is it behavior? Is it something in terms of the activities that they're involved in before or after school? So we sort of look at all the pieces with that child and seeing what the need might be. It generally starts not lower than 4th grade, and we don't go past the 8th grade. Again, it's kind of capturing those years where those transitional years where the students need a lot of help in understanding why school's important, and helping parents understand why school's important too.
And then the mentor stays with that child for 2 years.
Yes, best case scenario, obviously people move positions, but best case scenario is that mentor stays with that child for 2 years. If we have to transition, we make sure we make it a smooth transition. But they're following them along, they're checking grades, they're checking behavior, they're checking attendance, and really trying to find out what is going to connect that student to get them involved back in school.
Let me ask about the parents now. I think we have a responsibility now, since we have you here, Karen, to give the parents a bit of a leg up.
Yep.
What is it that parents should be looking for in their child that might speak to, well, they might be doing something they shouldn't be doing? What should parents look for?
So any change in behavior, any change in, again, sleeping behavior, eating behavior, behavior in terms of sort of isolating themselves. And again, I would say to parents, don't be afraid. It's funny, I work with a lot of folks, and our kids are all older now, and we have these conversations, but don't be afraid to go. Their bedroom is in your house. Right. Don't be afraid to go into their bedroom. And that's interestingly, that's one of the things that we offer is we have a station that we set up usually at the library or in other places for parents to walk through called a mock bedroom. So things to look for.
Interesting.
Like things that you wouldn't imagine. Q-tips, hidden things, hidden identifiers of what might be going on. Not only substance use, but behavioral issues that might be going on. How could I notice that maybe my child's depressed or anxious? Yeah.
What does the Q-tip signify?
It signifies soaking it in some type of a substance and using it in the mouth or other, so that it gets the drugs in there quicker.
Wow.
Gummy bears that are saturated in alcohol just crazy things.
Sounds prison-esque.
Yeah.
With the creative, and I'm not trying to give credit, but the creative ways that they can ingest these substances, but B, that they can hide them.
Yes.
So they might be in the mattress or above the door jamb, whatever the case may be. Things that you see in TV that a parent would never think my child has anything to hide inside the door.
Yes. Yes.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. If you ever get a chance, it's called the mock bedroom. We set it up. We try to set it up at least 3 times a year at Coyle Library because they actually have a little room that it sits in, and we make it look like a child's bedroom, and then we hide things, and we ask people to see if they can locate things that might indicate either depression, anxiety, or substance use, and see if they can identify them. It's wildly popular. And then on the converse of that, I don't want to say that all we're doing is sort of having parents sort of look at that negative. We're trying to get kids and families involved in positive things. So 2 big programs for us are Power of Produce. It goes through the North Square Farmers Market every Saturday through the end of the market, which is in November. Kids get tokens that they can spend at the farmers' stands. Every week they get $2 in tokens. Some of them gather them and then they spend it all at once. We teach them recipes. We teach them about healthy foods. So that's one. And then we have our Go Girls Go program, which is an after-school running program. We are now in 3 districts in Franklin County, 6 schools. So exciting. And our next race is November the 2nd. And I can tell you it's exciting. And again, we're trying to instill positive behaviors as well as having them understand where they might be getting into a little bit of trouble.
Karen, I think I could talk to you all day.
Yeah.
I think I could talk to you all day. And I was going to say, I really hope you come back again.
Absolutely, would love to.
Volunteer opportunities, employment opportunities, how do people find you?
So hcpfranklinpa.org is our website. We have volunteer opportunities for Go Girls Go. We're always looking for mentors. We take male and female mentors. The males don't usually do the lessons with us, but they do the running or the walking. And then we also have positions that are open, and that's where we have them is on our website.
Great. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you so much.
This was really very, very interesting. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Coming up, we're going to take another look at news and sports, and it's all powered by 2A Arms LLC, 2A in PA, Firearms and Freedom.
If you'd like to be